looking?
Hey, left New York, come Trinidad, everything cool, everything real fine. Long time I don't come back home to enjoy myself for Christmas. Alright, this girl Caroline, she's a good friend of mine, she always have real life. But let me tell you this one time, this girl, she got the sweetest wine. That really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Send shivers down my spine. Well, long time I don't check Caroline for the real fine wine concoction. It make me eye touch the sky, me not lie, me body can't function. So soothing, just soothing, make me move in slow motion. You understand me, Captain? This girl, she got the sweetest wine. That really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Send shivers down my spine. Well,
Christmas time is here again. It's the fiesta, climbing with all your friends. It's the fiesta, got around the Christmas tree. It's the fiesta, be like Santa or Jolly. It's the fiesta, it's Christmas time again. Time to celebrate. Jesus Christ is born to save all of us. Time for family and real unity. Plenty food and drinks. Watch we parangin'. All of we're hungry. Waiting for hand and turkey. It's all a lamp and children. We frolicking with big friends. Christmas is a joyous time for all of we top all our life. We're to shack in we hand. Watch how we fall on that. Christmas time is here again. It's the fiesta.
your friends are here. Neighbor, bring drinks, someone bring on drinks. I said to bring on sense, man. Neighbor, 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 neighbor. You say I'm passing by everybody. In each other in the country. Make sure you stock up your bar. Artists in America. Here, bring the mansion, bring the babash, bring the whiskey, bring the brandy, bring the butter, bring the butter. Neighbor, 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 neighbor.
Can't you let when you're looking? 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 Wake up early Christmas morning. To see me house don't have nothing. I don't know where my girlfriend gone. I'm so hungry and care about her. I know you're living fast, so I jump in the car. No, you cannot hide from me, cause I'm man hungry. I don't know what to do, so I come in by you. Bring out the money to eat in dry bread. Can't you let when you're looking? Can't you let when you're looking? Can't you let when you're looking? Can't you let?
Baila, baila. Santa leave the North Pole and come down to Trinidad. He say it's too cold in the North Pole, so he couldn't stay. He come down right away to have some fun in this land of sea and sun. So got Santa to leave about a toy. Come again, you have to share it with every girl and boy. So got Santa to want to ride a sleigh in a big time Toyota Caravan all day. So got Santa. Riva! So got Santa. Santa say he intends to have a real for Christmas this time. And the place to be is this country. All them lovely chicks, barrel music stick, and the tasty food. Trini woman does cook real good. So got Santa, don't leave about a toy. Don't forget you have to share it with every girl and boy.
The status quo works for the PNM and their friends, family, and financiers at the expense of you, ordinary citizens and genuine businesses in this country. This explains why a former governor of the central bank was hounded out of office because he dared to reveal the existence of a foreign exchange cabal. This demands a full and public investigation. Since this government has been in office, 14 billion US dollars has been sold to authorized dealers, and nobody knows what they have done with it. Nobody knows who they have given it to. All of this while legitimate clients, legitimate businesses have been made to beg, have been made to plead for a few hundred US dollars at a time. I wonder what these businesses, including micro, small, and medium-sized businesses, including those 110 businesses who used to get access to the Exim Bank, I wonder what they have to say about this revelation. That billions are being spent, that billions of US dollars exist, it's just not going to them. It's going to friends, family, and financiers of the PNM. Where has this money gone, ladies and gentlemen? Where has this money gone? This is not Imbert's money. This is not Alvin Hiller's private bank account. What is desperately needed in Trinidad and Tobago is full accountability for this wanton raiding of the country's foreign exchange holdings. This situation is ripe for corruption and abuse, and I have absolutely no doubt that it has been used to feather the nest of big shot friends and family and financiers of the PNM. But what makes this situation, this frightening abuse, even worse, even more worrisome? It's already extremely worrisome. It's already extremely troubling. What makes it even worse? It's the massive level of foreign borrowing that this government has been engaged in so that they can continue to feed their favorite friends. They are literally borrowing billions annually with no way of paying back, simply to facilitate the foreign exchange cabal. I want to say that again. This PNM administration, this Minister of Finance, has been literally borrowing billions of US dollars on the international market with no way of paying it back, simply to facilitate the foreign exchange cabal. This is the PNM government that shut down Petrotrin, a large net foreign exchange earner, so that they could offer the country the mirage of dragon gas. The government is literally living on borrowed money, treading water, hoping that the dragon gas deal will save them. That's the illusion that they have put into the hands and minds of Trinidadian citizens. This foreign exchange crisis is a ticking time bomb that this PNM minister and his colleagues have bolted to the chests of the population, ladies and gentlemen. And while they are pilfering foreign exchange by the hundreds of millions and even billions without accountability, citizens are being taxed at the bank by credit card limits and by the government via the online tax from minuscule expenditure. While ministers open routes, open flight routes, and tell citizens travel the world, citizens are locked in, held captive, unable to travel because their allowance cannot cover their bills should they dare to venture for a vacation, should they dare to venture abroad for medical, educational, or business needs, ladies and gentlemen. But worse is coming. The feeding frenzy has a backlash that will hurt citizens even more. Take a look at this graph, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this graph. The blue line represents the country's foreign exchange reserves, and the red line represents the level of foreign debt that this country is in. This foreign debt must be paid predominantly in US currency. What this graph shows is a narrowing of the gap between how much US currency that the country has in reserves and the amount it owes to the world. It shows to the alarming rate at which favored beneficiaries of the government and the central bank directorate has been eating away at the country's foreign exchange holdings. It shows further the massive amounts of borrowing and the raiding of the HSF that has fed the foreign exchange cabals feeding frenzy. You know, ladies and gentlemen, what the graph also shows is that in 2015, when Kamala Persad-Bissessar left office, she left US $10.5 billion in foreign exchange reserves, which was 8.4 billion higher than the foreign exchange debt at the time. Today, that gap has collapsed to 91 million. Not billion, eh? 91 million US dollars. Million US dollars. To put that into perspective, last year, Trinidad and Tobago spent 800 million US dollars in debt service. $800 million. What's the foreign exchange gap now? What is the gap we have now? $91 million. Plus, on average, the central bank sells 1.5 billion per year to their friends who are authorized dealers. The scarcity of foreign exchange becomes even more critical now to those who need it most. This country is suffering a textbook definition of a foreign exchange crisis, a currency crisis, with the external debt being almost equal. It's at 98% of the country's foreign reserves, the worst it has ever been in the history of this country. That is the management. That is thanks to the policies of this PNM administration. Colin Burt, that is his policy. Colin Burt, the governor of the central bank, the prime minister, this is their policies which has pushed this country into the hell that we're experiencing now. This raises, and that is something the country needs to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen, this raises the real concern that the country will not be able to meet its international obligations. We are in a debt crisis. Obviously, one of the critical factors has been this government's complete inability to develop new industries that are capable of generating foreign exchange. This country has been suffering because this government lacks the will and the ability to create new streams of foreign exchange, except for borrowing, except for raiding the HSF, except for selling off state assets. Minister Colin Burt's focus has been exclusively in facilitating the foreign exchange cabal to guzzle away at the country's foreign exchange holdings, including the reserves at the central bank and raiding the HSF. Since this government has been in office, there has not been one single new and substantial source of foreign exchange to date. Instead, this country has experienced multiple years of negative foreign direct investment, meaning that investment is leaving the country rather than coming here. This Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, once described himself as the country's best salesman, but nobody once described himself as the country's best salesman, but nobody is buying that rubbish anymore. Given the frequency of this Prime Minister's international travel, it is likely that he is one of the largest individual consumers of foreign exchange in this country, with nothing to show for it except immigration stamps on his passport and on his golf bag. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, it was a fact that this country had enough foreign exchange to meet its requirements. The data shows that. However, uncontrolled, unregulated, secret dealings in the sale and use of foreign exchange, favoring certain business houses, have severely undermined this country's holdings of foreign currency. What is needed are new investment generators, products and industries which can quickly maximize the use of existing resources of the country. But if after 9 years of government, if after 9 years of this PNM administration, nothing has been done, it is clear that they lack the common sense approach, fairness, or political will to do so. Instead, as I said, they are presided over the creation and development of a PNM Boys Club, a foreign exchange cartel which has leached away the country's hard-earned foreign exchange earnings. The minister has borrowed extensively in the foreign exchange market to fund the cabal's thirst, and in so doing has undermined the economy, the country's credit rating, and investment climate. In the current circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, even the energy boom, which pumped millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into the country as a result of the high energy prices caused by the Ukraine-Russian war, even the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars received then was frittered away because of a lack of transparency and accountability. It was just thrown into the hole and secretly dispensed with. The foreign exchange cabal presided over by this government is guilty of many things, not the least of which is robbing the country of its future. Obviously, as long as that pilferage, as long as that bias in access to foreign exchange is not eliminated, no matter how much US dollars is generated, it will simply be redistributed and repackaged to the friends, family, and financiers of the PNM, exactly as they have been doing over the last 9 years. I commit, ladies and gentlemen, that a UNC government, upon assuming office after the next general election, will investigate these practices and publicly hold to account those responsible for facilitating this unethical, corrupt, biased distribution of foreign exchange. I am willing to bet, ladies and gentlemen, that neither the Minister of Finance, Colin Booth, nor the Governor of the Central Bank, Alvin Hilaire, will lift a finger to protect the public purse. How can they, when they have presided over this corrupted system of foreign exchange distribution? After 9 years and counting of PNM rule, Trinidad and Tobago has gone from a constitutional democracy to corporate aristocracy, where the PNM elites enjoy unbridled privilege and the rest of us are dismissed as mere peasants and slaves. Let me repeat that as I close, ladies and gentlemen. After 9 years of PNM rule, Trinidad and Tobago has gone from a constitutional democracy to corporate aristocracy, where the PNM elites enjoy unbridled privilege and the rest of us are dismissed as mere peasants and slaves, businesses and citizens alike. If citizens of this country and businesses operating in this country, ladies and gentlemen, if you, citizens and businesses, want a transparent system of foreign exchange distribution, there's only one way to get it. Remove this corrupt PNM administration.
Dave has asked a very important question.
Yes, indeed, of course. Pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Friends in Tobago. And wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good night to you. I thought I would allow, of course, the Shadow Minister for Finance under the UNC, of course, the representative for Oropoch, East, West, yes, West, Dave Tanku, and of course, I think he's chairman as well of the UNC, to expatiate and to give you a comprehensive understanding as to where we are as far as foreign exchange is concerned and why we are in this quagmire, in this dilemma, in this or should I say inhospitable but unsatisfactory state of affairs, where of course the ordinary citizen, as you rightly said, cannot get $25, $50 to travel, but yet still they are opening up, of course, routes all over the globe, and suggesting, of course, that people must travel with, of course, CAL, our national airline, but we would not be able to afford to travel simply because we cannot get foreign exchange. I think that is what, but I think the more significant focus that his presentation would have been is that there is a selected few, a focused few, an anointed few, if I want to call it, but of course in a devilish way, anointed in devilish way. You know, normally you associate anointment with, of course, something that is sacred and spiritual, but in this case, of course, is a devilish anointment. But let's go straight to the lines. Let's go to the lines one time. pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
The finance minister keep putting the foot in crab hole.
Tony Crabhole. Look at the foxhole, rabbit hole, all the old trap hole, all kind of things. But go ahead.
And I ain't want to call him the other hole that he is, because that is what he is right now. A big one, right? But Lennox, the IMF come out tonight saying that how he breaching some regulations by not doing certain things. I want to know if they have a deal with the IMF to do certain things and they're not sticking by it. You understand?
Yes.
Because that's what the IMF saying. They have a policy to work by, and he's not adhering to it. So he's breaching IMF regulations. I'm waiting to see what will happen there.
Well,
and
I mean, the Privy Council spoke, and that is an internationally recognized institution based on justice. And I could see the coalescing or the narrowing of differences and focusing on the incompetence, the impotence, and the rank and unadulterated corruption that is the Rowley administration over the last 9 years. Go ahead, my friend.
Yes, well, I see he don't get any, what they call it, these Stevens, have you ever watched this movie named The Django? It had a character named Stephen. He used to live in the housemaster house, right? And he's the carry out the directive of the housemaster for the slaves to adhere to it.
Yeah,
he had Rola Barrett come back on. I didn't see Rola Barrett come back online, boy, and she preaching for he he put in some forex and she bank account and she talking for him now. That's what they doing.
Well, of course, we know that these dunderheaded, what I consider to be obscurantist and pretensive opinion forming elements that are there merely to, of course, for 30 pieces of silver. We must be dismissive. We could mention them, but in a dismissive way, because that and nothing is the same, frankly. But go ahead.
But all what Dave Tanku say, they come in to dispel that. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know the propaganda machinery. She knows what she is. And she's part of that machinery. But that will not aid or assist them in any way. The people's minds have already been made up. They will get just some additional money, that's all, for their futile efforts. Let me say, trying to convince the population otherwise. Go ahead.
They have idiots believing that and asking questions if the UNC could do better. But I want to ask them if Kamala Harris and Joe Biden was doing better. They drive up the economy and raise the inflation rate over there. People can't afford to buy food. The price of food stuff going up high. And they due respect to the inflation rate. And that is why they vote out them, because of that. And the policies that they have. And it's similar to what's going on in Trinidad here, very much similar, because everything falling apart there, crime taking place in this country unprecedented. You have the economy, you have forex business, you have all sorts of things. The entire country falling apart, literally falling apart at the Lennox. Even in the standard of education in Trinidad ain't bringing the virtues no more. I see Guyana top the Cape and awards now, no longer Trinidad. Where that gone? We was topping that before. We ain't getting it again. Everything going Guyana, even the oil going Guyana, the people going Guyana, the education going in Guyana now. So I mean, what's going on in this place under this regime? The regime just doing more and more to the people, and the people taking and suffering. Nah, boy. They have to pay the political price when that election called. They have to get Trumpalized. You understand? Trumpalized. They have to Trumpalize them. No matter who speaking on their behalf, what talk show host coming out and talking rubbish and want people to live in misery and suffering, something better had to come out from this. Because see, I'm Trump went into a barber shop. And a man said before you, right, when he was in power, I was seeing more money, spending more money, and saving more money, right?
Yes.
The other Kamala Harris on them, he had to spend is the opposite. He ain't seeing nothing, he ain't saving nothing, and he's spending everything that he has. So nothing coming in. Just so this government have people going through. Under Kamala, they were seeing money, they were saving money, and they were spending money on the things that you wanted. Now you can't do that under this breakdown regime called the PNM. Have a good night, Lord.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. So much to talk about. Let me say up front, once again, of course, just in case you just joined us, pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, indeed, of course, I just want to confirm from the onset that, yes, there was some quizzing of the legal representative for Imbert at the Privy Council, yes, in which clearly aided in, of course, they making a quick decision. It appears that it was so conspicuous, it was so obvious, it was so run-of-the-mill that they didn't even want to listen, of course, to the defendants, which would have been, of course, Alan Ramlogan representing, of course, the Auditor General, and so yes, on several occasions, in fact, the question was posed to, of course, Douglas Mendes, the representative for Imbert, the legal SC, and I want to be sarcastic, and I want you to take it in that way. The so-called legal luminary tried to obfuscate the question, but of course, one of the female justices asked on several occasions, why was not Imbert also under investigation? Let me repeat. Why was Imbert, the law lords were concerned as to why Imbert was not under investigation. So I want to confirm, of course, what was being said last night. Now that I have, of course, done my research and I could confirm. Last night, of course, I was a bit, let's say, reluctant, for want of a better term, to, of course, forcefully say that occurred. Well, it has occurred. I read it on several occasions, and I looked, of course, at the website of the Privy Council to make certain that these were some of the issues that transpired during the short period when, of course, just about 2 hours, that Mendes had to represent the case of Imbert. Well, yes, they asked the question, why wasn't Imbert investigated? That is very serious. We will look at that a little later. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night, welcome to the corridor. Sorry about that.
It's okay, Lennox. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear, loud and clear.
All right. You know, Lennox, I want to just talk about this IMF thing very quickly, you know?
Yes.
And the truth is the IMF is not going to do anything. The IMF is known for just kind of slapping somebody on the wrist, just like the Privy Council does, and like they did with Imbert, saying, hey, why didn't they investigate Imbert, you know? Go back down there and take care of it. Nothing's going to happen to create any kind of change down here. But what I was going to say was that, remember that guy, Ram Saran Dairy Products, the guy who makes all the peanut punch and
yes,
that dairy company?
Ram Saran, yes. Dairy,
yeah, well, back in October, about a month ago, it was in the newspaper. He wrote a letter to the IMF in Washington, D.C., and in that letter, it was a very long letter. He stated that that he's not getting foreign exchange, and there were breaches in the agreement. I think he had an attorney help him write that letter, but he was saying that his business struggles. And the IMF, now in November, we get a response from the IMF via Guardian Media that there's a clause that that Trinidad is breaching and yada, yada, yada. But the IMF is very clear. They say that we tell all of our members, don't put restrictions on your foreign exchange to the public or according to this clause.
Good.
And basically they're saying,
the members have,
what we're going to do is we're going to...
We have another caller on the next line. All right.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. So basically what they're saying is, they're saying we're going to consult with the government, with the finance minister or whoever is in charge, and they'll have to kind of adhere to it. But they're not, Imbert's not going to do that. It's already got things in place where he said they're injecting money into the Exim Bank. But I want to tell you something, Lennox. Since 2019 or 2020, 21, 22, and up to 23, the finance minister has injected the same amount of money into the banks to give to privates to give to the public, whereas the disclosure to the business sector, it's not there, it's not transparent. We don't know how much they're getting. But Manning in Parliament said the other day that the biggest user of foreign exchange are new car dealers. And he said that Trinidadians want new cars all the time, that they like imported luxury food items, and that they want to live well, and that all costs that all costs US dollars. But what he didn't disclose was that the elite growing sectors of this country, including banks and the private sectors that are like the McCalls and Answer McCall and all of those companies, they're growing in the Caribbean, and they're using a lot of the foreign exchange to buy materials, to build new buildings, to supply all the internal structures that they need for those buildings, equipment, supplies, and that uses foreign exchange. And we trade in foreign exchange. We don't trade in yen, and we don't trade in EC. So I wish Manning had talked more about that, and how much is being spent for the big businesses to continue their expansion. And I don't know, maybe you could address some of these issues, but we do use a lot of people are shopping online now. They look, Black Friday sales, Christmas sales, Amazon now. Everything comes online from the credit cards that people have. So, what can you do? All right, that was just my comment, Lennox, and thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, of course. Let me take this other call. Go ahead, Mr. Faizabad. I know that Miss Santa Cruz is here, but Mr. Santa Cruz, you'll have to hold on, Mr. Faizabad has been waiting. A pleasant good night, Mr. Faizabad. Go ahead.
I will give way. Good night.
You'll give way to Miss Santa Cruz? All right, okay. All right, Miss Santa Cruz, go ahead. Mr. Faizabad has graciously, of course, given way to you.
So much, Mr. Faizabad. Thank you so much. Good night, Lennox. Good night to you and to everybody out here. Lennox,
Yes.
Why is it that your previous programs coming up so late? Because I didn't get Thursday. And only late this evening I got Thursday's program. And you're not even seeing yesterday's program. Because sometimes you miss it and you want to go back,
Yes.
to listen to what it is, right?
Well, I'm seeing
But
it
Lennox,
all over YouTube. I don't know if I've checked, of course, Facebook. So, is Facebook is your preferred platform or YouTube?
Yeah, both. Anyone I get on. But
Alright.
I'll check YouTube and I wasn't getting it either. It's late this evening I got the one from Thursday. But
Alright.
Lennox, I'm glad that I listened to it on Thursday.
Okay.
Because I heard you saying something that cyberbullying is a crime.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
It is a crime.
Yes.
Okay, well then I am going to take, I'm telling you tonight publicly and I'm going to take the nasty message that I got in my inbox on Madras, and I'm going to take it to the cyber unit people next week.
All right.
Right? Because if it is a crime, yes, I am going to do that. And anybody who feels that they can come and bully me without provocation, I am going to do that, Lennox. Thank you so much for that information.
All right.
Now, Lennox, I said, and also last night, I love how you ended the program. We went really late. And I liked how you ended it by saying that everybody's calling on Mrs. Basal Bissessor to come out and protest, right? What happened to us? But you see, some people only waiting for the marijuana bill to come out. Where some of us, Lennox, out there every time. All who fed up with letters and whatever. No, we are not getting fed up. We are going out there. We are showing people that we are coming out. And we are getting prepared for the EBC protest. We are getting prepared for it, Lennox, right? Lennox, I sent you quite a few pieces of reading material today,
All right.
Especially the one of them where Israel Khan is calling on Amo to resign.
And the
he
Minister
made
of Finance.
reference-
And the Minister of Finance.
And the Minister of Finance.
Yeah.
But he also made reference to Russell Martino when he resigned after some case that was it was based on the same thing, I guess.
Okay.
And he reminded us that Russell Martino did resign after that. But you see, with Rowley's government, nobody doing anything wrong, right? He was quick to tell Kamala, fire this one and fire that one and fire the other one. Look at what Faris did, and he shifted Faris in local government, right? Now look at what happened with Limo and that case with the with Animbert, that case with the Auditor General.
Yes.
Because Lennox, if the Privy Council didn't come back with that ruling, the Auditor General would have been fired already, you know.
Oh yes.
Would have begun. They would have called on the president. To fire her. Just like what they did to Jawala Rambaran. They said Kimona went on holidays, right? Kangaloo was acting, and they fired the man. Right? And the next case that is going to backfire, because I think it is still pending. Because you remember, Imbat had appealed Jawala, the sum of money Jawala was supposed to get.
Yes.
Right. That is still pending, and that is the next one. It's going to backfire on Imbat. You see, Lennox, evil that men do live after them. And that goes for women too. People feel that they can do and say what they want for how long they want. But not for long. Not for long at all. You understand? And sooner or later, Rowley feel that he can shift everybody, right? But you wanted Kamala to fire her people. But you see how Kamala standing her grounds now with him, right? I'm waiting to see what is going to take place. We know Imbat not going anywhere. And it's more than likely Imbat is not going to resign. And he's not going back up for election. Right? Because I have a lot of people, friends in Maraval, you're hearing the same song, right? It looks as though Imbat is not going back there again. So they might just put a next fool there. Because that's all they're doing, they're fooling the people. Right? And Lennox, before I take my leave, I just want to tell you something.
Go ahead.
There is I don't know, I'm looking for the right word and I can't find it yet. A mission to get me off of your program. But Lennox, I know that will be mission impossible.
Yeah,
because I am like Denise.
I can confirm that as well.
Right. Because like Denise Plummer, I'm not leaving. Who don't like to hear what I am saying? You have a choice. There's a mute button, you can use it. I am not walking. I made a promise to you to help contribute to this program, and I'm going to be here every night once you are on, right? They can do what they want, they can lie, they can say what they want. I'm not leaving and going anywhere. And I'm going to stay right here. Now, sometimes I would not call, but I listen. Because you know, Lennox, sometimes it is very important to listen.
Oh yes.
Not talk so much.
Well established.
Yes, we have to listen at times. Not talk, not rumble, not get on like a Good Friday rara or empty dustbin. No, we have to listen. So if I don't call, I am right here listening. All right, Lennox?
Yes.
You take care, you have a good night, and you continue with your good program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. Thank you very much. Of course, the others that were in waiting, well, of course, please make your calls now. But of course, only to confirm, let me just confirm once again before we start again that yes, the law lords did ask of Imbert or of the administration or of his lawyer why it is that he was not under investigations as far as his role in, of course, in the Auditor General. Well, it's clear unfolding the debacle that has been exacerbated by the stupid decision to, of course, appeal to the Privy Council, and they were scathing as far as the Minister of Finance, Imsbert, is concerned, and sometimes acting Prime Minister. Pleasant good night, welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to
Lennox,
you. Yes.
give me a minute of your time because you're a very
Yes.
unbiased
Yes.
person.
No. No
Although you are
problem.
biased to
Yes.
although you are biased to the UNC and you're a strong party supporter, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'd like to address a concern about cyberbullying.
Yes. Go ahead.
Now, I moved here. I've moved here about 10 years ago, and I moved here to help my mother because she's elderly.
Right.
And my mother always used to talk about somebody named Santa Cruz, Miss Santa Cruz, because she used to call a radio program in the morning, Akashvani, and make a lot of contributions. And she used to call Sat Maharaj's program and make contributions.
Okay.
But I got involved because I was very politically active when I was in another country growing up, and also in my career because I do have a law degree. And I was a community activist myself.
Yes.
And so I started making my contribution. And she all of a sudden just started picking on me. She would say, oh, they call me Miss Madras because I say I'm from Madras Road. I never gave my name. And I guess people always assign villages or communities. But she would say things like, let Miss Madras sit in her corner and stay right there. Like, is that how you talk on the radio? Is that how you tell people who make a comment, oh, you shut your mouth? And I responded by her rudeness on Facebook, and she came back like swinging like a double-edged sword, back and forth, slashing. And I'm like, and using really strong, very, oh my God, very, very hurtful and demeaning words to me. And I got really upset. I defended myself, and I want her to file that complaint. And and let her do it because there are documents in the internet. It's forever. And you can't do that. She did it on the ground report with me too, and I used to call. I think every time I call a radio station, this lady follows up and just like jumps in. What is up with her? I make questions and comments about the UNC because I'll tell you, what really pissed me off? When Kamala said party first and country next. You can't have a party first and then a country. You say country first. Let me reform the Constitution. Let's do something first. Let's organize ourselves and everybody of like mind who agree with the Constitution of our party. Let we change the country. Let we do something. But I just don't understand why she always is against me. I've never done anything to this lady. When I made a comment one day when that guy, I'm going to tell you what I said on the radio on Akashvani, and this is what she said on the radio. I said that guy who was having a relationship, remember when PNM first came into power? There was a really a chubby guy, and he was having an affair. He was videotaped with a woman and in a camera, and then they were shared online, and it was showed in the newspaper, and he was fondling, and she was sitting on his lap.
Yes.
And I said that guy should keep his zipper up and his jockey shorts up and his fly up, zipped up. And she said her son listens to the radio and it was pornographic what I said.
Okay.
I heard her on your radio program use the word ass and use bad words. And she made that comment on the air. Like, so because I said the guy should keep his jockey shorts up, what is wrong with jockey shorts? I don't know, So what I'm saying is, I don't know why she attacks me. I think it's a sign of maybe she wants to be the best commentator. She should be a part of the UNC and be a politician and make contributions to empowerment instead of picking on citizens who make contributions. And we should respect each other. I have to say, from my experience with her, she bullies me, and I'm a woman. And for another woman to do that, I don't understand why she picks on me. Maybe she hates my accent because that's a common trend in Trinidad. If you go abroad and you come back here and you speak proper English, they hate you. They want you to talk, like the local slang. But I can't help it. Trying to do it. I kind of switch back and forth. But anyway, I don't like the PNM. I think that government is terrible. I think what Imdin is doing is usury with all his private friends and so the people who orbit around the Prime Minister's ears. And I hope that the UNC wins the next election because there's no other party to step in. There's none. All right, that's my comment, Lennox. And I know you're a good person because you're always respectful to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, some people may say that I ought not to engage in those kinds of what they may call tit for tat. But I am of a different breed, so to speak. I believe that the ultimate right to speak is important, even though I may disagree with you. But I will defend to the hilt your right to speak, particularly where, of course, there are differences in opinion. But of course, my position on the entire discourse that would have been disclosed to us tonight is that we have more important things to treat with rather than personality. So I would advise on either side, let us throw that behind us and let us get on. Of course, people are saying that they have one cause, one purpose, one mission. We must live better, we must do better, and we are on the same team, clearly. And therefore, there is no need for recriminations or in any way accusation, even though it may reach the domain of a cyberbully. We could, of course, forgive, even though we may not forget, and let us move on to, of course, the more important issue of removing the PNM from where they are. They are toxic, they are evil, they are wicked, and they have, of course, weaponized government against the people. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Mr. Faizabat.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. You started the song like Aquaman there already. And to share to all the listeners, and to share. So, to all your listeners who are logging and listening to this program, ladies and gentlemen, good night. I will be brutal to the host of Mr. Lennox because I tell him every time he answers his phone, I will interview him or he will interview me. Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Now, last night, you was talking about protests. Tonight, we are starting off with India and the Privy Council. Now, the track record from since 2015 dealing with the law lords and them will show that Faris Arawi and Keith Rowley have no respect for law. And they mash up in the Integrity Commission to put the stooge. They move a commissioner of police who have been working towards bettering the safety of Trinidad and Tobago citizens. They had moved a lawyer from England from being a King's Counsel to King Kong now because they make him get lossy work because of corruption. And it have a few callers on the ground report this call and then another talk show to say that the PNM have no corruption. But I just want to know tonight, Mr. Lennox, is that not misbehavior in public office blatant? And look at it. Now, when Keith Rowley keep changing the laws and to say it will fight crime, now, could they take up an opposition politician and put him before a court and say just a judge alone and say guilty? Then you see, when the EBC had did the mischief and the dirty bidding, a sitting person in the judiciary say it will cost this country money to go back, and you want to cause pandemonium. Is that fair, Mr. Lennox? And it hurt me to know that me and you had spoken already, and we had met on a certain place on that beautiful show. And the track record will show that those who would like to come out and be in that number, some would like to be in that number and for a better day to come. But some will just sit down and give the directive we should do and you should do and you should do. So when coming to protest and coming out, the union is out there already, the OWTU. We have a place to go. Join with the union. In solidarity, be our brothers keepers and send a message. We ask for a boycott of some things, just let's boycott and not even going out to protest. People are doing it. When the honorable political leader, Ms. Kanda Prasad Bisesa, was in Cuba on the highway, no to gas price, who came out. So you see, what we do and what we follow the narrative. Because if the callers and them is not united, and we have all sort of things to talk about ourselves and not the country, and we may say some words in direction, right? While Rowley, no, and here call election. Nobody at all. Since I listened to this program from since then, the cancellation of the internal, the election of the PNM with Keith Rowley, nobody had spoken out when I said that the people, the membership reject him, so they go reject him, and the people in the PNM reject him. He had 3 days of election internally, and there's only 8,000 people vote for it because how to get it, God alone knows. Now the executive is crying out as a dictator who wants to remain in power. You know, we are studying that. And right now, the Forex, what is going on, is that is not yesterday. Because you see, when you spoke about it after, the Tanku had said, is it the Heritage and Stabilization Fund money they're using to say they have export cover? So you see where it is, and then it have where we as people, the car dealership, I had spoken about it. They say that they give a quota to curve that. Now they're coming back and talking because the people forget. So everything is we the citizens, while they mismanage and it reach home to roost. And people is talking about the PNM went to the IMF. The PNM, when last they employ people, when last they give an increase, when last negotiation, look how much people are unemployed, freeze in employment. So that is the austerity measures of our IMF model. Raise gas, raise it to the highest and more tax and more tax. We talk about local government reform. Nobody talk about it. Where the property tax money going? So, Mr. Lennox, wake me up when we reach there. Have a nice day.
I like your closing remark. I like your closing remark immensely. But the fact of the matter is that it is not about waking up. It's about everybody, of course, putting their shoulders to the wheel and making certain that we get rid of this albatross, this iniquity, this Luciferian and criminalistic gang of individuals led by clearly a criminal. And you know, I have to say it, of course, he is a rapist and a pedophile. I'm talking about Kid Christopher Rowley, just in case you have any doubts. And of course, those who are sycophants and or apologists, well, all I could say to you, eat your heart out. But those are the realities. And if you don't like me to, if you don't want me to say that, then he has to get out of the office of Prime Minister. The PNM must get out of office, and then, of course, I will pause for a cause, but at the same time, I will want, of course, to ensure that blue lights and silver bracelets, as he likes to put it, visit the entire cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago, having regard to what is unfolding now. Don't fool yourself. Every one of them are guilty in one way or another. Collective responsibility or individual decision making, yea or nay, depending on the circumstance, all of them are culpable. Whether it be, of course, in the case of the Petrotrin, whether it is in the case of the Vincent Nelson matter, or whether it is in the case of the Police Service Commission debacle, all of them. Let's not waste time. And therefore there can be no distinction among them. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night, welcome.
Yeah, pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
A pleasant good night to you as well, my friend. Long time no hear from, but of course, I am not surprised. I will put it that way because the season is upon us.
Yeah, well, Mr. Lennox, you know, most of the time I never used to get the program on YouTube.
Oh, I see.
So now I seen it here before it used to come on, and then in like
yes.
4 or 5 minutes.
We had a tremendous impairment, boy, and that was a horrid period for me personally, not being able to communicate as I would like, because we always had some kind of hiccup, some kind of difficulty. But I think we have been able to rectify it in main, largely because of my own tenacity and quick ability to, of course, absorb information to rectify the situation. But go ahead.
Well, nice. So Mr. Lennox, after so long, nearly a year.
Caller, hold
listen to
on.
your-
We have another caller on the next line. Go ahead, answer.
Yeah, so after a whole year, I now first night I listened to your program and it's still have back and on the chat.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's part of the course, it looked like. But in the midst of all of that, we have to also temper them and to make them understand the greater good, the greater objective, the greater purpose, of course, is that to make certain that the PNM, we are moving closer, of course, to the inevitable. They must call election next year, and we need, of course, to have our readiness intact.
Yeah, true, because you always see you can't do the same thing and expect a different result.
Exactly.
And you know, the election was in America here. On a political program, you could say what you want on the chat. They don't hold that as cyberbullying. So I don't understand what they call it cyberbullying on a political chat. YouTube don't flag a video because of a comment. They flag a video through with the presenter or what videos you show.
Yeah.
So come on, people, be real now. Let me forget that. Mr. Lennox, all I have to see is next year, people, let me vote for the UNC and get rid of this PNM. And Mr. Lennox, I don't want to see a low voter turnout no more. Let me get our facts together and let me get ourselves together. Everybody who could vote one time, right? If you have one arrow, it could break. If you have 100 arrows and you try to break 100 arrows, you cannot break that.
That's right.
So let me unite and let me get the forces out and let me have the biggest voter turnout and let me give them something worse than 33.
Yes, indeed. Until we stand, divided we fall. Beautiful.
Exactly.
Yes.
Nice, Mr. Lennox. You have a good night to you and all the callers and everybody.
Yes, I'm sure that this will be the first of many more. All right, bye-bye. Have a wonderful one. Yes, a pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Mr. Lennox, good night.
Hey.
Hey, I was watching a program last night. And I watched a second call and I fall asleep and I was tired. driving all in them snow and all kind of thing in Idaho. Coming back to Nebraska, they went a lot of snow, man. It was terrible.
Okay.
I was tired, man. I
marathon last time.
I still fall asleep.
Yeah. A marathon last night. Only 11 o'clock, I still on.
Yeah, no. I know. I wanna listen this morning. I'll listen to balance.
But I think it was a good cause. I think it was for a good cause because one caller already called in and said that the way how I concluded the matter, it was a very, what I should say, rewarding and of course interesting as well as of course informative, because I had to say it, that.
Yeah, it was good, man. I listened to the whole thing back. Again, well, I was driving today and I still put on Lennox, what I missed out.
Yeah. Okay then, my friend.
Anyway, Lennox, good night, Trinidad Tobago, everybody.
Yeah, okay then.
Listen, I understand this, what, in boat and all of them, what's going on there. If the Privy Council give that is my opinion. If it's for
just hold on. You don't have to load on your device.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Foreign call. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if the Privy Council give a decision to get, why does they have an investigation into him where all that money went to? Okay, so he would not give an account to give the money. So that money, made it say it went up and vanished in air, in thin air. Nobody want to give an account where that money went. Lennox, you have to educate these people. What is $3 billion? Not 3 million. $3 billion. $3.5 billion. You could never spend it in the next century. Your children can't spend that money. Okay?
Yeah, 10 million or 1,000 million. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Do the math. And this is a very serious thing. You know, people take it lightly, but they must say, oh, it's a little bit of money. That's a lot of money. You know? And for it to go in somebody else's hand, you don't know who it went to, the guy would have given an account. Anyway, Lennox, that's my opinion. Then again, I would say this thing.
Yeah.
I do this shocking thing. You know what I do? You know, we talk all the time. You know what I do?
Yes.
I do transport.
Right.
I do food. I carry food from all different states.
Yes.
From California back to Maine, back to Dakota, South Dakota, North Dakota, everywhere. Right? Yeah, I told you I was in Idaho.
Yeah,
and I came
Idaho,
back
yeah,
to
recently.
Nebraska coming through.
Yes.
Okay, I'm now going to New Jersey. Right? I'm hauling a load of frozen stuff down.
Right.
Oh, I listen to them loose cannons and them. Where did this guy's idea we have shortage of food here? No, I do trucking, no? They could beat me with that. I do trucking. I transport food. I transport frozen. I transport food, vegetable food, produce, everything. I do everything. I have a freezer. I have a container, freezer in a container.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that with.
And they're talking about it, grocery, I had no food and expensive. I just go in the grocery, fill my cart with $100. My wife works for Publix.
Okay.
And if you see people shop inside there, I went to Costco. People shopping like crazy. You can't get to move around your cart. Costco and Sam Club. That's a wholesale place. So I don't know where these loose cannons and them people talking, where they get this idea for. Why fooling people, man? I tell you offhand. I'm telling you offhand. That them don't think they're not to top the nonsense. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't have no problem with food here. Shipment come in from all different docks where I put from the port all the time. You know? Right, so next day in Lennox.
Yeah.
You listen to somebody videos I sent for you?
Yeah. I'll be looking at some of it tonight.
Yeah, don't you kinda. I just send you to educate you, man. I am not telling you nothing. I'll educate you and believe me, you'll be very, very educated and be wise man.
Okay.
And you go think, say what?
Thank you very much.
Listen, next thing again.
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago, look for a whole lot of plane coming from United States into your country. A whole lot of people coming down. Plus Guyana.
Great. That'll be lovely.
Look out for them. They're coming. They're sending them back. The ones that vote for Donald Trump. I had some family vote for Donald Trump, and his son is the DACA or something program. They're gonna destroy all of that. And now when they're telling me, I made a mistake, I don't want to hear that. That's the only problem.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. It will create some problems.
It's coming down. It's mass deportation. It's coming down. Like I tell you Friday, I will sit back and enjoy the show. Look, my family good, I'm an American citizen from years ago. Right? And my kids, all of them, secured. My grandkids secured. They're born here. No hair, no problem. So I will sit down and enjoy the ride.
Okay, my friend. Thank you.
All right, Lennox.
Yes. Yeah. Bye-bye. Oh, boy. He's anticipating, of course. I get a tinge of the what I consider to be a deteriorating situation for Trinidad and Tobago. If the Donald Trump agenda, deportation agenda, is fully implemented as was being touted on the campaign trail. But we'll see, because there's the argument as to whether or not it is practical, whether or not, of course, emptying the United States in the way, what will happen to some of the menial jobs that foreigners will prefer to, of course, engage in, or would it be adjusted in such a way so that it makes it easier for people to, of course, get their regularization of their status in the United States, and therefore, because there will be a lot of people there who would not have been offensive to the law of the United States. And therefore, there are people there who would protect them, who would see that it's an unfair policy to, of course, whitewash or blackwash everybody with one brush, and not, of course, be eclectic, in other words. So these policies, whilst, of course, they are generic in terms of and good political, maybe grandstanding, when it comes to practical implementation, is a horse of a different color. I expect the United States to always act in its best interest, and therefore it will not be practical for, of course, that policy to be implemented or to be executed in the way that it is being, or it was being pronounced or promoted on the hustings. And that's a different kettle of fish. Not like, of course, Rowley and they, when they were telling us, of course, that they will not interfere with property tax, they will not interfere with subsidies and so on, but implement it and make it harsher for us. In the case of Donald Trump, of course, the reverse is the case, where when they would have sat down and tried to iron out or try to flesh out the practicality of that policy, they would see that they would have to keep certain undocumented people inside of the United States for obvious reasons, and then, of course, will now find ways and means, having realized that reality, that they must now find ways and means of regularizing those persons so they could remain and contribute to the economy of America. That is how it works. So I am not perturbed. Of course, as I said, when you are out to deceive, as the Rowley administration eventually have demonstrated by telling us and giving us policies that making us feel good, making us feel or making us placid, making us non-proactive, because it's not stressful, and then when you go into office you stress the people. In the case of Donald Trump, he says, well, listen, I am going to do so and so, but one expects that it's going to be placid and peaceful, and people can, I'm sure, will feel a little better when, of course, the actual fleshing out of those policies come to administrative execution. Let me put it that way. So that being as it may, let's go. Oh boy, we have Miss. Sorry about that, Miss Arima. A pleasant good night.
Yes, good night to you, Mr. Lennox Smith, and a very good night to Miss Madras.
Yes.
Miss Madras, you are an intelligent person. You know a lot, and when people have that kind of intelligence you have and they don't have it, they get jealous. Like me, I could talk Spanish, okay? I could come here and report on what's taking place next door or even in Latin America. I pay attention to the geopolitics, you as well. So when they can't come with these things like us, they get very jealous. They don't have ideas. Like I had an idea where I would bring out some flags and whistles to boost the protests, because the protests, as I just say, it looked very boring. When you look at protests in other countries, they would have flags, small flags, large flags, whistles. I even saw in a protest in a country where they had firecrackers, not the very loud ones, but they had that as well. People have the right to protest in countries who are members of the United Nations, right? I'll get back to that in a while. So with these things to make a protest look good, right? You could even have snow cone in it as well. I saw people selling snow cone. People need snow cone for the heat. And when you have foolish people who don't have vision coming to insult people who selling snow cone, and bringing things to boost a protest where they don't even have that type of idea, something wrong. It's either they're mad, they're wicked, they're jealous, and it could be all. I told you a couple times, Mr. Lennox Smith, that we should get together, because they keep saying get together, so that we could have several yards of cloth with national colors that we could purchase by Mr. Aboud, Jimmy Aboud. They sell that cloth, and nothing. We just going out there without placard, no national flag for the region, nor the international community to see us, right? And it's just a set of chaos. And they're calling your names, old people, old foul, handful of people. If it have a handful of people, let's say 40 to 50 something people or so, with that kind of, boost in it, with flags, it will encourage the younger people. But this set of, this kind of way you're protesting, it ain't saucy, it's not encouraging. It's not only the little bit of crowd, but it's not saucy, it's chaotic, right? It need to have some kind of pep into it, right? Look at the outer world about protesting now, right? If you could have Kyle Tackler saying, come, he know a lot about human rights, because people don't want to hear people like Miss Madras and myself. They want to hear you talk about the rights, and they might believe because they feel you know everything. You understand? That's how it is. They feel you know everything, or they might want to hear the opposition leader say something, but she ain't talking that. So this is why I just say she's sleepy. Because in the United Nations, under the Human Rights Council, once you're a member of that country, you have the right to protest. Government will give people pass to protest, permission to protest. If you want to embarrass the government, take them down by protesting, right? That is our old law, and it's supposed to change, but they ain't taking it out. And whether it's there, still, they're wrong. So if we go to protest and we could get the backup, I'm speaking about diplomacy, not the opposition coming out to protest, because them ain't doing that. In other countries, right, I would see oppositions going with the people and protest, for example, next door, right? So when people get tear gas as an organization, the opposition, they could report to human rights in the United Nations. Then we have the Human Rights Committee in the Organization of Americas, where they could complain too. But this UNC organization not standing up for the people, we there in the open. It's always some activists have to do something, and nobody ain't going to tell me how to talk about them, right? When you're doing something good, okay, you're good. You're doing bad, you're moving sleepy, I talking. I have full rights to talk how I want, because I for country, not party. So again, people, we have the right to protest, right? They go against the international law by spraying down with tear gas, having long guns pointing at you, and false arrest. They call that kidnapping, right? Once people protesting peacefully, they cannot do you, they're not supposed to do you anything. That is violating the international law under the United Nations Charter. So anybody talking about permission to protest, I don't want to hear that, because that is their law. That is not the international law. We could be how much sovereign, we honor the United Nations Charter, right? And they could be challenged with that from the United Nations Human Rights Council. They brutalize people with help from the opposition to help and care for the people. It have where they could be, punished. and they could be ordered to change the law, right? So people don't just listen to me, learn, and don't try to come and correcting and painting white for the UNC. Go in the Human Rights Council for Human Rights under the United Nations, and you would hear the year they introduced that law for people to protest against the government. Have a good night.
Yes, indeed. But of course, once again, as I said, my job is to be a mediator or referee as of sort, but at the same time, a very active campaigner for ensuring that the democracy that all of us operate under is fully recognized and implemented and expressed. And of course, simple definition, government by the people, of the people, and for the people. It is also my duty and responsibility to, of course, where there are nuances that needs to be clarified, because it may be a gray area for some, and it may be, of course, a very pellucid and clear area for others. The reality is that in spite of the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights coming out of the Second World War and part and parcel of the United Nations, let's go to the line, and then of course I will return to this subject thereafter. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night again, dear Lennox.
Yes, good night. Yeah.
People making out Trump like if he go and just grab people off the street and send them back home.
Yeah.
Man, if you're there illegal, right? You cannot stay in the man country, and most of all, if he's a criminal, you're getting put on a plane first and foremost. I had some family members.
Which is the case right now, eh? It's the case right now. Many of people return to Trinidad because they completed their sentencing, their sentences in the United States, and they forthwith was put on a marshal from the United States accompanied them, and they dropped them in the airport, and they gone back.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me get a story. I had a family member.
Hold on. We have another caller on the line. Go ahead.
Right. I had a family member who was living in the United States. When Trump just about to go to take office, right? Now they overstayed, they welcome over in America, right? So they had no other choice but to leave. He didn't put them out. They leave when they come back because they know if they were caught, right?
Yeah, the humiliation and the other inconveniences that will trigger, yes.
Right, the status will be unwelcome.
Just as in Trinidad, we have the same laws. Just as in Trinidad. Go ahead.
Up to then, now, look, Biden take office and he 4 years up and they never get to go back. They never went back in America. So I don't know what kind of flow thing some people coming to city man coming out with show.
There's some statutory and other procedural issues that will clog up the judicial system in the United States so badly that it will be exercising futility. So you have to be eclectic and you have to be practical. Right? Okay.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You ever petition the EBC as to find out why it is not split another constituency, seeing as a leader of a political party?
I will be sharing that with you all probably on the ground report tomorrow. I have sent something under the Freedom of Information Act, in addition to what I've said before and to which they have responded. That one, of course, is on its way to the Ombudsman, and I have a fresh one that I'll be sending, among other things. So just listen for it tomorrow. Yes, and that will be among the questions that I'll be asking. Yeah.
Well, if I read it here tomorrow night?
Yeah, most likely tomorrow night I'll read it as well. Once I read it on the ground report. Yeah. All right then. Yes. Yes. Sorry about that, caller. Go ahead.
No problem, Mr. Lennox. Call again. Mr. Lennox, all I have to say is wow. Mr. Lennox, I have a question for you. Are we truly united to ready to vote out this PNM government? Because the reason why I ask that, all of we who live in abroad here, we want to come home and vote, right? We have to travel to come home and vote, and we know the PNM going to need the tickets very expensive to come home to vote. But we willing to make that sacrifice to come home to vote because we want to get rid of this PNM government, right? So all I had to see Mr. Lennox, are we truly united? Are we truly want this PNM government out?
My considered advice to you, please prepare your ticket, come. In spite of what you may be hearing, there is a very, very potent and almost unanimous force. Because all what you have been hearing, what is common is that the PNM is toxic, no good, and must be jettisoned from office.
I understand that, Mr. Lennox. A lot of people across here in the US, we want to come home and...
Hold on, Mr. Faizaban.
We know the heartache that they're facing.
Yes.
But I'm not seeing, but when you're listening,
I'm not every single vote counts on this occasion. Every single vote.
And with the unity, come on, people, let me unite and let me stop this fighting and bickering and who is this and all that. It only has star boys and star girls in movies.
Yeah, I'll come into that in a while. I'm going to address that aspect of it in a while. Because, I mean, you could make your presentation, well, I'll tell you one time, we could make your presentation without having, of course, to character assassinate. You know,
exactly.
They said, no, that song too Movelang and it's song too immature for the consequences and the mission that we have now as a people. Make your point. State your position. You may disagree with an approach. Nothing wrong with that. But of course, to then extend it to of course, personality, bashing and so on, I think that is unacceptable, and I will have to put a mechanism to make certain that we get on professionally as opposed to, of course, treating. There are some obnoxious statements that may be made on the live, etc. I expect that people are going to, of course, identify those elements and exactly what they say, but to recriminate, meaning that to reciprocate. I think we have to go to the next level and stay at that level, and that is to take the moral and ethical and argumentative high ground in order to avoid being trapped into, of course, a decadence that will not benefit the cause for which we are all committed.
Exactly, Mr. Lennox. You remember back in the day when your program was running fully, how many people from outside in America used to watch your program?
Oh yes. They still do, right, they still do, because we had last time was a plethora of them, but but the same reason you would have had a lull because of the technical issues that internally, but we are getting there, and don't be too perturbed about one or two persons, of course, falling out of line. You expect that from time to time, but eventually, with common sense and with rationality, they will fall in line.
True. So all they have to do is just leave it on the chat. Don't call in and make them, because people listen.
Yeah. That's what we will insist. Make your comments on the chat, but when you call in, please, I don't want to hear this one, that one. That does not advance the cause that we are all committed to.
Yeah.
All right.
It don't appeal to the people. It don't appeal to the people in the diaspora who want to
come
home.
Either. Yes, that's right. Because it is such. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Of course, go ahead, Mr. Faizaban.
Good night again, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, good night to you as well.
To the last caller, please share the number. It's 337-694. Please share that number and tell them log in to YouTube on the corridor transformation, and keep in touch with what's going on in this country. Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
Now, we on the topic
caller from Canada, please hold on. We have another caller on the line. You have to hold on a little bit. Go ahead, Mr. Faizaban.
Yeah, so back to the conversation. When we had Terry Farrell, right?
Yeah.
On the road of the recovery of the economy after COVID, you see where in behind them mash up a good thing.
Yes.
Because recommendation had made to manage the economy and to move forward.
Yes.
Now, just the other day, he had come out again and questioned the statement by India. And then you see the the central bank governor, Lehe, came out and tried to downplay it, right? So now when Mr. Farrell did talk about it, now you're seeing the reality, because the senators and the minister, the member of parliament and them, is speaking about it and bringing the evidence. So I wonder if the central bank governor is misbehaving in public office by misleading the statistics and the projection of revenues and the growth of this economy. Because it's time somebody talk out now and be bold. I be frank, and I asked that question for two ladies who like themselves so much. So is it that now the central bank governor is covering up the true figures of unemployment and the growth of this economy? Huh?
But
because
I want to tell you, Mr. I'll just intervene. I want to tell you that that is a valid question, because if it is that the Auditor General, on her own volition and her own timing, couldn't get access to the central bank to, of course, verify a certain, let's say, paper trail of whether it's revenue or expenditure, clearly that issue is a valid one. It comes up. So I say that it is a well-placed one. And therefore, those persons who have this senior position in public office cannot be allowed to be acting in that manner, and therefore they should voluntarily get themselves out of office, or the population must now rise up, and the various mechanism to trigger their departure must also be a deep and sincere and, should I say, urgent consideration. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, so because on the topic we are seeing, so Leher is saying now he came out back after Mr. Farrell had spoken.
Yes.
And now he had changed the narrative. And then you saw it now, not the statistic board and the was supposed to do the reporting of the economy and employment, but the central bank governor came out and said, that is the projection, and this is where we are today. But I wanted to know now, I asked you to teach me. So I want to know, if our economy grow by 3%, right, which is a $65 billion economy, right? Where is that surplus? And where is that money in revenue of US dollars gone? So, you see, we get the information, we get it to the source and seeing where somebody is a stranger to the truth. Some people are covering up under a transparent blanket, a piece of transparent net, and we see through it.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Lennox, I would like you to tell me where the money gone. So we will come out. The
Privy Council had made the clear and pellucid and transparent statement why a bird is not investigated, and I think that speaks volumes as to where the answer really is. It is he who is in the center of this tragedy, and therefore must be held accountable, because he is the public representative, he is the people's representative in that regard, and therefore the government cannot believe it's a law unto itself, or island unto itself, separated apart from the fact that the people gave them a mandate that they have, of course, miserably failed and continue to fail.
So when Egbert and Rowley talking about my esteemed political party and political leader being unfair with the public purse, Mr. Lennox, could I safely say that India is thieving broad daylight?
Well, I like to use a cliche. They see in others that which is in them. They see in others that which is in them. So it is an illusion, it's a figment of their very, what I consider to be open and fertile imagination, but it is they are the ones that are in office, And it is whilst they have been in office, all of these matters, whether it be the concerns of the Auditor General, whether it be the spending of the purchase of boats, for example, that from Australia, and of course that of the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower, and of course the other one that sails from time to time. They say some kind of riverboat. Are talking about the galleon passage, and we can go on and on. So they see in others that which is in them. We know that, and therefore what we have to do is consistently, of course, expose them, so that when we go to the polls, they will understand that their presence or their existence is reliant on our votes, and we must make it count. Because of course elections, as they say, have consequences, and we demand to live better, must live better, but not under that kind of travesty.
Yeah. So in winding up this organization and this conversation, I will beg for leave, but I would like to ask you this question now. If the Prime Minister had purchased 2 hostile vessels, right, in Cat and the Damians,
yes.
right? Now, as a Prime Minister, is it that the Integrity Commission and the Integrity Forum, the declaration state that any purchase that the Prime Minister make supposed to be declared? Have a nice night, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, indeed. Only to say, however, just out of an abundance of caution and to ensure clarity, the Integrity Commission forms and the declarations refers to the Prime Minister's personal activities as far as interest in or non-interest in, or matters relating to his finances, personal, as opposed, of course, to the government finances. The government finances, clearly, the Auditor General has a role to play, and she is playing that, and being played out, of course, in the public domain in the most despicable way, in the most unprofessional way, having regard to the position of the Minister of Finance, who is ultimately responsible for our finances. He being, of course, responsible, that office, for preparing a budget every year, and of course telling us what transpired subsequently when the year would have expired. And therefore, it is in that set of circumstance I want to make the distinction that the Integrity Commission deals with, of course, the personal finances of the individual. Why? Because they want to know if, because of coming in government, you suddenly get rich, you suddenly have this asset and that asset, and of course give the public the opportunity to question where you get the money from. We are seeing it unfolding right now in Jamaica, where of course Holness is now under the gun, so to speak, for of course not declaring his interest in several entities, which of course are entities that would have gotten, of course, state contracts, etc. Let's go to the line. The President, good night. Are you still there, the caller? Sorry about that. All right, okay. Call back. I saw that call was coming from Canada. My apology for keeping you so long, but you know, we like to ventilate as much as possible and give as much time as possible. You too, of course, when you call back, will certainly be the beneficiary of that. So don't get annoyed or don't get angry as such. Let me see. Let me get to this caller. President, good night. Welcome. President, good night. Welcome.
Lennox, politicians don't thief. They just typhoon.
Typhoon, I hear you. Well,
Lennox,
they have to get a hose, but everything seems to be liquid.
I want you to get the Freedom of Information bill in connection with the Attorney General office.
Miss Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I wanted to get the Freedom of Information bill based on the Attorney General office for the legal briefs that he paid out in this tenureship in governance. This man I talking about Lamo, get the legal briefs. You will see how much PNM lawyers collecting in legal briefs.
Well, he had made it clear. They had made it clear that they will do an inchoate or half-baked doc presentation. They'll tell you how much, but they won't tell you who. And of course, the opposition leader is saying that they want the whole hog. Why? Because she was subjected to a similar inquiry from the PNM, and Anand Ram Logan, as the Attorney General then, he provided the whole hog. Let the chips fall where they may. There's no clandestine wholesaling of the resources of the country without, of course, accountability to the people.
Right. I heard the sums of money given out, and especially to Mr. Cohen Garcia and Russell Martino.
Right.
And I want the public to hear the kind of funds these fellas get in, right?
Yes.
Not in no $1 million.
It will happen. Whether in this iteration of the PNM or in the next iteration of the UNC administration, which is inevitable next year.
It is there for you to read it out, Lennox. Bring it for us to hear it. So we go hear for ourselves, and the public will hear for themselves the mismanagement taking place there.
All right.
Have a good night.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, of course, a pleasant good night, Ms. Santa Cruz. Go ahead.
A pleasant good night again, Lennox.
Yes.
Lennox,
Hey.
if my memory serves me right, did anything like what is taking place now with the Auditor General took place between 2010 and 2015?
Not at all, not to my memory. And of course, there are those who are more versed than I have made a similar comment.
Right. No, you see, PNMites went when intelligence was sharing. Some of them went last. So the figure might come in and drop in. The same thing happened between 2010 and 2015 with the Auditor General, right? It's happening now. That's a lie. That's a big lie. You understand?
Yeah.
Because if it is that the auditor was wrong, why did IMBAT hire people to investigate her when she's an independent person?
Let me tell you this.
You see, they can't answer those things.
Yeah, what I know is, even under the UNC, the Auditor General will make certain notes that they probably didn't see this, or they didn't see that, or that this couldn't be found, and so on and so forth. But no way, a lump sum of $3 billion we're talking about.
Exactly, 3.2, Lennox.
And then when the rectification came, it was still short. So that only by $2.6 billion could be accounted for.
Because when the governor of the central bank stepped in, right? They don't know where because she's asking. Up to now, she's still asking, where did IMBAT get the $780 million to pad it? So the figure came down.
That's right. That is how it came down. And there is still, don't forget, there is still on the expenditure side, $1 billion that has not subjected itself to any paper trail. Let me put it that way, or verification.
Right. Yeah. It's like a ghost. It's like ghost money, like the plyboard money, like the DSS money. Right? And they come in to talk about but what they're ashamed of, Lennox, is that even the lords are asking why IMBAT was not investigated.
Very simple. Yes, I confirm that to you, and I can say that. And I'm glad that you reminded me and the population that yes, the lords did say that. One of the female lords,
say that, yes.
3 male and 2 female. Yes.
Right. Why is it but not being investigated? And they're not asking themselves why did Rowlaya remove IMBAT from acting as Prime Minister and put Stuart right after this thing happened? But no, they come in to talk about money was missing under between 2010 and 2015.
Yeah, there's a pattern of behavior. Once Rowley knows that this is a public imbroglio, a public embarrassment for the PNM and his government, and an indictment as to his incompetence and impotence, having regard to all of the other matters of a similar nature. And we saw a close relationship as to his conduct when, of course, he moved Al-Rari from the office of Attorney
Al-Rari,
General,
yes.
consequential of what? Of the exposure of the Vincent Nelson matter. Well, this, he didn't wait
Because
for
one minute
it,
he was
for it
boasting
to
about
come to
him.
the fore. No, he then, of course, stopped Imbert from becoming, to deputize as Prime Minister as a sort of superficial punishment. And of course, try to foist upon us this character, this buffoon, this nincompoop, this moron called, of course, Stuart Young.
And Lennox, they're still saying, I don't know, like when Brains was sharing, they went last. They're still saying that the money, because Rowley said it. And you realize that they have repeated everything that Rowley said. They suffer from cope-aphasia.
Well, yeah, well, if
they repeated everything that Rowley's saying.
Imbert saying the same thing too.
That
Well,
the money is there.
If it is ridiculous, if it is nonsensical, and it is there, then show us it. That's all. There's no talk.
Exactly, show us it.
There's no maths in that, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist. If the money is there and it was not stolen or it disappeared by some kind of what I consider to be enigmatic something from space, then let us see, let us know, follow it, tell us where it went.
Yes, show us. Yes, show us. And Lennox, you remember, we still have Marla Dukarang, that next economist, talking about $25 billion still missing between 2015 and now, you know. You remember that when she came out and she said that amount of money still missing is unaccounted for.
Look at that.
Because even this man, Terence Farrell is saying the math's not matching with this budget. He don't know how Emmett make up that budget.
And mind you, that is on top of, Emmett told us during the budget presentation that everything is hunky-dory. And when he had, of course, to respond to the argument that the government wants to implement the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority as opposed by the PSA, and he had to put in an affidavit, he then says, listen, if we don't get that up and running, things are going to be tough until 2027. That is how Rowley started to reiterate that as well. Yes. So we understand
I cannot wait.
The shambolic state of affairs.
Wait.
Yes.
For when the Auditor General case hits the court, we are going to hear everything is going to be exposed.
Of course,
and then we will see, right course. We will see who's standing close to the
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Lennox. Take care.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, thank you for giving me sooner. I'm sure than you would have liked to. Pleasant good night, foreign caller. Welcome.
Yeah, I me again, Lennox.
Yes.
In Santa Cruz, listen, how they going to show the money and then in somebody else's bank? They can't show that money. Miss Santa Cruz, how they going to show the money, girl? They can't show that money, man.
Yeah,
it is somebody else's bank.
Yeah, making a mockery of them or being cynical or being sarcastic.
He can't show that money.
Well placed, caller.
And I South Dakota.
Yes, well placed.
In Switzerland.
Yes.
I'm busting it out now.
Yes.
You know, and I South Dakota there because they have a bank. They have a bank. You can put the money, and they have no record of that in South Dakota. You didn't know that, right?
Yes.
Right in the United States.
Yeah.
They're like Switzerland bank.
And of course,
Stuart like
Young's brother.
Check it out. Do some research. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but Stuart Young's brother and his father are experts, and therefore in the banking, and I'm sure they would have had contacts and communications and little opportunity to of course should I say undermine but at least sidetrack the formalities in order to get their way with our money.
Yeah, if I could know that, anybody else could know that.
That's right. Thank you very much, of course. You always you are always on the button.
Yeah, but I want to make one clear.
Go ahead.
What I spoke earlier about the plane thing, I'm not happy about that, right? I just saying.
I know that.
I just educating people.
I understand that.
I'm not happy about that.
Yeah.
And I know there's another guy talking about how it's for criminals alone and people illegal. No. I send the video for you, and it's point blank. People who is legal,
I know it too.
and is legal here,
I saw it.
they're doing that with. And people who has papers inside, like the DACA and everything, he pulling back all that, making them pull back all those
We'll see.
all those information.
I'm of a different view, but we'll see. I don't think if there's a
Right,
process in the United States.
Yeah, he pulling back pulling back all these papers from these people and it.
All right,
I'm sorry. I'm not happy about that, but just saying, educating people what is going on.
I hear you.
And I'm not only everybody else, Latino people.
No.
They're talking about that now. They're
very,
they're shocked. The mouth open, they're shocked to see what is outcome of this.
All right.
But I know that happened. But I just saying.
The proof of the pudding is in the actualization. So let's see what the policy.
And that will affect. And all these people, governor of California, he's bullying the governor right now in California to take these people who are working in the farm with all these produce and everything. So he said, what I'm going to do with it? So he going to put him in court for that.
Well, this I'm saying. That's why I spoke how I spoke. I can't see blanket political rhetoric during a campaign.
Right. You know the thing about Rolling is
as how that was mentioned. Yeah. All right.
Simple card.
Okay. I have a Canadian call. Let me go to Canada now.
All right.
Yes. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Hello. Welcome. Oh boy, second time. All right. It's unfortunate that that caller. All right. Hello. All right. I'll tell you what. That call from Canada. I think what is going to happen. I'm going to, even if I am on a call with someone, I'll cut it short just to accommodate you. I think you're calling from too far to have you wait unnecessarily long. So I want to accept that as a factor. So there we have it. Of course, we are talking about, of course, the foreign exchange situation in this country, the incompetence of this government, and I often said that when the UNC was in government, they would have spread the foreign exchange, let's say, the ability to sell foreign exchange to all of the small, medium, and large banks. When the PNM came back into office, they castigated that. They said it was, in fact, they amazingly said it was a corrupt device. And they went back, of course, to major banks, the Republic, the First Citizen, the Royal Bank, and the Scotia Bank. And those are the four major banks. And I think about 4 other institutions of their liking, of course, because as you heard Tanku, it is about, of course, an elitist agenda in the use of the foreign exchange. What we are having now is institutions such as PriceMart. They are saying they are selling out their assets locally simply because they cannot get foreign exchange in order to import items, and it will be unfair for them, of course. I'm getting that impression because they are in several countries across the globe, and they cannot take, of course, foreign assets or foreign exchange from one country to furnish or to supply Trinidad and Tobago's operation. So they prefer, of course, to close down. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Okay, good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
I remember that Mala Duparan article, and we are friends on X, which is Twitter, and we exchange messages.
Yes.
And when she said that $25 billion was missing,
she said that. Ms. President, I'm going to interrupt you. You don't mind if I cut you, because the Canadian call is coming back, and I don't want to have them wait again. You don't mind?
All I want to say is people need to read that article by Mallet.
All right, will do.
Because it's not.
Yes, please. You made your point. Read that article. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Canadian call.
Good night, excited.
Well, I'm all right. I'm just fighting up and making sure that the information is so pristine and so irrefutable that it will be very difficult for anybody to question its veracity. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, buddy.
My point is that from what I'm reading, that the law lords in England that hand down their decision concerning him, but what he did, that he should be investigated. And
Yes.
furthermore, he should have been removed as Minister of Finance.
Yeah,
Also, the
immediately,
Attorney General
immediately,
should have been
out of the
fired.
government. Yeah, show him the doorway. But it is a conspirators gang of opportunistic political parasites of a mafia nature. So you would find them shifting from one point to the next, getting a slap on the wrist, and go into and still be part and parcel of the cabinet. That is how
Yeah, but you see,
cohesive
I'll
that
tell
gang
you
is.
something.
Yeah.
Lennox, if a thing like that happened here, that Minister of Finance would have lost his job. He would have been in front of the courts to answer question where the people money gone.
That's right.
Plus the Attorney General who sided with him. He should have been fired.
Imagine that
And that is talk here.
the
that is talk
Attorney
here.
General says amazingly, enigmatically, phantasmagorically. I can't find adjective to describe this debacle that is unfolding. Imagine the Auditor General is saying, listen, something is wrong. The Attorney General is giving advice to the Minister of Finance, but claiming that he cannot give advice to the Auditor General. But yet still, it appears that even if he told her to get her own advice, it didn't look as though he willing to pay the bill. And that to me, I mean, it's not just a travesty. It is not just immoral. It's not honest. I think it is illegal, and somehow these people should be charged for treason, for treating with the finances of the country in this slipshod and of course superficial and superfluous way. Go ahead, my friend.
My point of view is that that the population ought to get together. This is people's money. This is the population money.
You can be so frivolous.
Demand that that you only get rid of him and put him before the courts.
Well, I see some luminaries like Israel Khan. The others, of course, they don't have the spinal fortitude because they are cowards and they are I should say abstractly implicit because they're getting free money from you and I, the public, and therefore it buys their silence. That is typical, all of them. That is typical what Judas is to the task that they were given by their profession and the betrayal of the people themselves of Trinidad and Tobago. And these people should be jettisoned as well. They should lose their right to make representation for people as lawyers.
But I like, one day I like, that how the law lords, they messed up Mendes.
Yeah. Embarrass him.
They messed him up really bad.
Yeah, embarrass him, man.
He should hang his
Hush him
hang
out.
his head in shame.
Hush him
And
out.
resign as a lawyer.
Yeah, while Imbert was investigated, and you're going all over the place and you're using hyperbole, circumlocution, and of course, innuendos and all kind of nonsense, and they actually a direct question. And for several times they ask him, and he can't answer yet until of course they say, listen, I didn't want to hear Alan Ramlogan on them. Listen, go back to Trinidad, and we agree with the appeal court. And that's a different judge.
You see, my point
Look
is
at the
that,
matter.
Lennox,
Yeah.
that the law lords said that Imbert should have been investigated.
Yeah, why? That's
investigate
why.
him?
Yeah, why? He was investigated.
And the population has to get up and demand that they investigate him to get
That's
back
right.
their money.
But tomorrow on the ground report, we will be, of course, pursuing this matter quite apart from focusing on the EBC, because there is another, what I consider to be fly, or should I say cockroach in the ointment, that will save Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore we must focus on living better, doing better, and the only solution to this problem is, of course, the UNC and the Kamala Prasad Bisasa and that administration.
A point I want to make. I will never make no apology for it. You see, all these Indian businessmen, all these Indian business people that supporting PNM, and they get a problem for Forex. I am not sorry for them. I'm glad that the government is dropping pressure on them. Let us feel it.
Yeah, well, of course, if you do evil, evil will follow you. I mean,
that's right. I'm happy that they get pressure.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing about it is, it's like rain.
The party is supporting, the government is supporting, giving us pressure. Let them take it.
Yeah, the only problem is like rain.
I'm not sorry, and I'll never make an apology for that.
Yeah, it falls on everybody else also. It's like rain, it falls on everybody else. That's the only problem. So, whether UNC, non-UNC, you're going to get it. Yeah.
You know, if it was the UNC government, it's all been different.
Yeah.
People would never have the suffering so of foreign exchange.
Yes.
Because they would have had the money and space to give people to services.
All right. Yes, man. All right, well, yes, thank you very much for your intervention. And of course, this will be another of many more. All right, my friend. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay. But people, of course, I want to tell you now that, of course, it is 16 minutes past 10. I'm not going to go to 11 o'clock tonight. I want to tell you that at the same time. So what I will do, I will preempt the contribution of Wayne Mark, which of course would have tied up the loose ends as far as the TANCO is concerned and where the forex have gone. But I know, as one of the callers said, he was in his truck sleeping, going to some other state. So I'm not going to I wouldn't say bore you, but I'm not going to deliver that till tonight. I'll do it tomorrow night. But have a pleasant good night. Welcome. Let's hope this is the final call. A pleasant good night.
Yes, let's make it the final call, and let's put some clarity and reality to Ms. Santa Cruz's contribution about what Mala Dukaran said about $25 billion missing, and it's unaccounted for. That $25 billion was not in 1 year, which is 2024. That $25 billion that was not accounted for goes back to 2011. In fact, in her article, she said consistently from 2011 on, there have been billions of over $1 billion, $2 billion missing annually, and it's called errors and omission. Errors and omission is an accounting phrase that they use in accounting, where they say if you make a mistake in your numbers, you could always we are excused because it's called accounting errors and omission. But Mala Dukaran said.
Hold on, Mr. Kuba. I'll take you after as the final call. But go ahead, Mr. Go ahead, Mr.
I want to see on this. I want to explain it to you so you understand too where those numbers coming from, because you deal with money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have, she said, but in a country like Trinidad, where you have a weak statistical office and you have weak data coming from the bank and also from the statistical office, she said errors and omission really shouldn't be negative every year. And she said consistently it's been 1.4 billion, maybe 2.1, but she said the highest level of money missing was in 2013. She said it was $4.8 billion, and they couldn't account for that. And it's continued on. So we have to put the facts out there. And she said that this money is like, there's no, it's untraceable. And she said there's only 3 other countries that have those kinds of discrepancies. Mm-hmm. And she said most of those countries are countries that are very weak. They're very corrupt. And Djibouti, one of those countries, was one of those countries. And her article made sense, because you can't just look and say, well, everybody, this government thieving the most. They've all had their hands in the treasury. And we face it. And we want change. And I'm talking because we need change, because we're going to have a whole week without water, and that is unheard of in a country that has oil and gas. A whole week without water. And Blue Waters is making hundreds of millions of dollars. And all the other water companies, because sales of plastic water bottles have gone up today and yesterday, and it will continue for this whole week, Lennox. So
All right.
that is a reality.
Okay.
All right. So that's my comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I mean, what you have said there, I have not looked at it, so I will, of course, be doing my own research, just as what I did yesterday. And now I can say that yes, the Privy Council did ask why Imbert is not investigated on this matter. But what you have brought out very lucidly, very clearly, very conspicuously, is that it may well be that it is this Auditor General that appeared to have done her work. That's all. Appeared to have done her work, and of course was prepared, of course, to stand by her position. Because if you are saying that in the past there is a statistical, I assume, support for the missing monies that the Auditor General in the past might have, of course, used, as you said, some accounting jargon in order to, of course, dismiss. Because I know, for example, over the years, I've never heard of no $1 billion missing as I've heard in this particular case. What I know, as I said earlier, and I said, of course, across administrations, the Governor General will say from time to time certain items they will flag and say, well, listen, they couldn't find the counsel for this one, and they couldn't find the documents for this one, they couldn't find the actual good, as in the case of the zip line, for example, matter in Tobago, things like that. So that this particular, if what we just heard is in fact the case, it means therefore it is this Auditor General that appeared to have taken seriously her work. And of course, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar did say that there was a way to rectify that coming to the Parliament by a special report. You see, because one of the issues that was raised here is the timing. By law, the Auditor General ought to submit those accounts for the previous year by the 31st of January. Every other year. So the accounts for this year, for example, must be, of course, submitted the following year by the 31st of January. So all now, because remember the fiscal year for Trinidad and Tobago ends in around October, when of course the new budget takes place, and therefore for the next fiscal year. So that is some of the legal parameters that we must now also factor in before, of course, we draw any conclusion. And if it is that this Auditor General has brought it to the fore, kudos. And if it happened in the past, we must, of course, condemn that as well. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Mr. Lennox, I'm very confused.
Go ahead.
And what Madras is talking about, money missing since 2011.
Yes, that's what you say.
Trying to make an allegation that Kamala steal that money. That money was gone and disappear. That's what you're trying to say. Now that is my opinion, my assumption.
Yeah, well, of course, she's saying, I interpret it to mean it's no different to now. That's what she's saying, this present circumstance.
Well, it's not different to now. We are talking about in the present year, yeah. Kamala leaves certain amount of money in the bank, and it is evidence. And you're talking about now you talk about time 2011 when Kamala was
25 billion she was saying over a certain period inclusive of 2011. So I have not verified it. I have not verified it. I am going to verify it.
But it's the first time I hear that. I never heard that before.
I too myself, so that's why I find it.
So I don't know where to get that proof from. Well, if that is a proof, well, bring it out and show the proof that was there. But you can't make some kind of assumption like that.
Yeah, no, she said that she read it by somebody making that statement. So I would love.
Well, anybody could read something and believe it. It's just like they read all kind of nonsense about
so I would love,
some other people.
I would love this Madras.
I will not go for them kind of stuff.
Okay.
You are talking about 2011, and you talking about two different things. You talking about present now.
Yes, somebody was delinquent.
I don't understand that.
Somebody was delinquent in the past. Somebody Auditor General was delinquent in the past. That's what that tells me. if that
I don't know about that.
Yeah, if that occurs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to defend somebody if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But why talk about those things now? We talking about present now. We talking about import.
Yeah.
That $3.5 billion, where it went to.
Yeah, where it went to. Yeah. All right.
I'm not concerned about the past.
Yeah.
I can't look back in the mirror. Driving a car, look back in the mirror and look in the past. I can't do that.
Yeah. Okay then.
I have to look in the present.
All right.
We have something money missing right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That kind of confused me right there.
Okay then. Well, let's see. I'm going to look into it.
All right.
As I said. All right. Yeah. But off the cuff, superficially, by way of prima facie, all I'm saying is that what it shows to me is that if that is true, then it means therefore Auditor Generals were delinquent in the past. And then therefore kudos to the current Auditor General for bringing it to the fore, and Imbert and they must now account. And that's all. So to use that to neutralize what is happening now, I think as I agree with the last caller that that is an exercise, frankly, in futility, and attempting, of course, to throw under the bus or to throw under the carpet, more specifically, and to make silly the argument today. And I will not accept that as a citizen. President Knight, welcome quickly.
Well, Lennox, there's a PNM just run out, throw the red herring.
Yeah. I suspect it's a PNM. What I consider to be pickup. A PNM.
Red herrings.
Yeah, red herrings. Yes, that's right. I like to call it pickup. Yeah.
The email gate is one of those red herrings. They live by that.
Clearly. From the time it reached with all of the PNM propaganda. All right, let me just close you off one time. Mr. Faizabad, go ahead. I've had you waiting for some time, and we'll close with you. Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead.
You hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Kuba. Sorry. Yeah.
California. Lennox.
California. Yes.
I mean, it really, now it's 10:30. And last night you went to almost 11 o'clock.
Yeah. I want to close off fine. Yeah.
I know your chat going real nice. But I still try to understand some of these points because they're jumping from here and there and all about that. They're not coming clear with some of the issues that they're raising. And they have me in a how can
well, it's the callers.
I gotta be short with my one. I gotta be short. Right. What we see in the PNL, right? What has been revealed now with the PNL, that they no longer hiding a thief in the bowl. I think it's 3-point-something billion, and they can't give a account for. Plus, I hear something about 25 billion. I think.
Mr. Lucas, hold on. I'll have to take your call as the last one.
The point is that the council say why Colin Boot is not being investigated.
Full stop.
And is that what they say?
Yeah, that's it. What happened in the past, happened in the past.
What they're saying, they also giving the people a hint. Why Rowley did not hire the police or get the police involved to investigate Imbert. Why Rowley not doing his job? And Rowley is the head of the security. Understand what the laws and them is telling you? Why he is not being investigated?
Yeah, why the cabinet did not extend the investigation
to him. $3 billion. The same thing went on with Petrotrin.
Yeah.
Why was not Petrotrin issue being investigated by the police?
Yeah.
Right? So right there and then, that is what the problem is in this country.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. I want to cut off at 10:30, please. All right, so we'll continue tomorrow morning and or tomorrow night. All right? Okay, my friend.
Good night. Go sleep well.
Yeah. Because tomorrow morning, of course, is the ground report. Let's go straight to Miss Santa Cruz. I trust that you.
Lennox, one for the road. Yeah, one for the road. Lennox,
yeah.
Why is the DPP also not investigating Imbert? Right? Lennox, did you hear me at any time saying that money went missing in 2024? Marla Dukaran said I think it was either 11 year period, but most of it was in this between 2015 to 2024. I never said it was in 2024. And before I go, I want to ask you, didn't Keith Rowley and Imbert at a press conference told us that Kamala's government left 11 billion US dollars in Forex and 9 billion US dollars in the HSF, and it's the HSF money that they're using now? But you see, you have PNMIs on the chat talking about Kamala ain't leave no money. What Kamala do with the visa plan? You understand?
They got mad, they got mad, they got mad.
Nonsense.
Dismiss that, man. I mean, that's nonsensical. That's why.
No, you see, Lennox, you see, that is how PNM works. When they sow that seed, you understand? They have people really believing Kamala didn't leave any money.
Yeah.
But thank God, you know what? It came out of Rowley and Imbert's
That's
mouth.
right. And
Thanks a lot, Lennox. See
yeah,
you tomorrow.
Yeah, and don't get me vexed before I play it tonight, you know. Only don't get me vexed before I play it tonight and take a little time to reach closer to 11 o'clock, you know. Don't get me vexed, you know. But I ain't going to take any basket tonight. I have to sleep early because I just doze away on the ground report from time to time, especially when I'm not animated or engaged. But so let me get a good night rest tonight. Pleasant good night once again, of course, to all the rest of the night, that is, and of course tomorrow night we will, of course, conclude this issue with the foreign exchange. It has impact, of course, on the question of the Auditor General and why it is, and we could have a better appreciation as to why foreign exchange is not available because of the management of the economy, the poor management of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself, and from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we have, of course, Gael, the Caribbean, which will be on television, and of course we will be engaging, of course, the rest of the Caribbean on these and other matters, because the Trump presidency is, of course, a concern of necessity, because I mean that is the most influential country in the Western Hemisphere, and indeed some argue in the world. And therefore we must be able, of course, to look at what is in store for us in terms of a Trump presidency. We just have about a month or so again, a month and something again, before, of course, we have the inauguration of Trump on the 20th of January next year, when he will be full-fledged the President of the United States. And that being as it may, have once again a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, it's Christmas time, but you know I love to complete with my what I consider to be my Sunday anthem, and that is, of course, a religious flavor, as opposed to the Christmassy type should I say introduction that I started with this at the beginning of the live. And so let me just get that organized and to, of course, share that with you. Have a wonderful one. Bye-bye.